This loft is made from pallet racking and wood, and I used a combination of 12-foot and 10-foot uprights. So I'll show the completed loft first and then show the build process. And I'll start by showing on the right side here, I secured the uprights against the wall with lag bolts, and I did that in various places. And you can see there are some shims because the profile of the upright wasn't square. Got two LED lights attached to the 2x12s running across with OSB subfloor on top. And then right here on the second upright, there's that shelf for storage right here with the wire decking. Where the shims are, you can see lag bolt locations. Also, I have LED strip lighting all along these back beams for additional light. So in this bay, I could probably add another light up top. Maybe I'll do that in the future. And to connect the uprights together, I made these brackets here, these spacers. And the spacers just drop in, and I have that extra set of holes because I have two different style of uprights on the other side. But yeah, you just drop the spacers in and put some bolts in, 4 bolts, 2 on each side, and I just have that distributed around in various locations. And on the back side, I have essentially the same bracket, except it's a little longer, and there are spots for lag bolts to attach to the rear of the wall. Above this shelf, there is a wooden beam that is attached to the wall. You can see all the lag bolts, and that's to support the free hanging end that hangs off the back of the pallet rack beams. And under some of these 2x12s, I put some composite shims to help reduce some of the bounce from above whenever you're walking on it, just because the wood isn't perfectly flat. So over here on the stairs, you can see here's one of the spacers. But on the stringer that is not attached to the wall, I put long grade 8 bolts into each vertical member of an upright. So you can see these are coming through here, and maybe I'll cut to the back side and show you underneath the stairs. So under the stairs, you can see where the bolts go through and secure this stringer to the uprights. And then on the stringer against the wall, I have lag bolts going all the way up. And then same thing for the top member. I have lag bolts and that going to the rear wall. Going up the stairs, you can see here is that beam that was attached to the rear wall with the lag bolts to support that free hanging end. Ignore that crooked lag bolt. Ideally, I would have attached the wooden beam to the wall before the pallet rack beam. So up top here, I'll show how the wooden railing attaches to the uprights. It's got these 3 bolts on each side, and the reason for that is I wanted this railing to be removable in case there was any item that's too large to fit up the stairs. You can just undo these bolts and move the railing out of the way to place whatever item you want to up top. Now I'll start to show the build process and some before pictures of when I had the pallet racking set up normally. The problem I had with it was that without a forklift, it's very difficult to use the top shelves effectively. Climbing up the ladder holding something heavy is just too awkward, and that's when I decided I should just convert this into a loft. And unfortunately, I only have pictures of the early part of the build, but later on I started taking videos of the upper assembly. I had used the 2x12s on the shelf before to hold engines and other heavier items, so that's where I got the inspiration to set up the floor this way, and with the OSB on top and the steel beams close together, it seemed like it should be fine. For the central 12-foot upright, I cut down the column with an angle grinder and spray painted the edge to avoid rusting. and then I just continued to lay the subfloor on top. I then screwed the subfloor into the 2x12s to lock everything in place. The 2x12 and OSB combination kept the subfloor low profile on top of the steel beams. Now if I had done traditional joist framing on top, that would have added at least 6 inches to the height of the floor, and I wasn't happy with that because there's already limited headspace on the sides because of the roof pitch. Here's the flat pattern of the brackets I got made from Send Cut Send, and then I bent them on my press brake. Here's the start of the stair stringers, and the space I had was pretty narrow, so that's why I wanted to make that wooden railing removable up top. But this is enough to at least walk up comfortably. And for the roll-up garage door, I wanted to make it covering so that it wouldn't interfere with anything you have up top. And I didn't want to permanently attach this. I wanted to keep it to where you could move in case you ever need to work on that door. So that's why I just built it fairly sturdy, and you can just pull it out of the way in case you ever need to access it. Testing for interference to make sure it doesn't hit when it's rolled up. Now we're cutting plywood to be able to box in the frame. Now we're starting to cut and rip off the material to make the top railing, and instead of buying 2x2, ended up buying just several 2x10s and ripping those down to create the railing. It was more economical to do it this way, and also the 2x10s are a much straighter piece of lumber than any 2x2 section that I could find in any of the big box stores, but this did take more time. Starting to do some of the prep work to lay everything out for the rail assembly. I was using dowels on one end and I'll do screws on the other end. And I had seen this from another video elsewhere, And the reason for that is on the top surface of the railing, by having the dowels, you won't have any exposed screws up top. And by clamping the top and bottom rail together, whenever you drill your pilot hole and don't go all the way through the bottom, that way all of your rails can be aligned, and then enlarge the hole with a Forstner bit or the dowel. I'm assembling this upside down with the dowels on the bottom, but there might be a better way to do this because trying to get the top on and screw it down with every rail loose is pretty difficult. I needed a hard stop for the finished flooring, so I screwed this 2x4 down for the railing to sit on top of. Now I'm just doing the same thing for the other side. Picking up and vacuuming to start laying the flooring down. I had leftover flooring from another house project, so I was just using that up here. I had this hole in case in the future I wanted to add an electrical outlet down below. the flooring done, I'm just adding 2x4 on the side to fill in the extra gap from the uprights. Adding the last few screws to finish this up. And here's the final walkthrough before I add shelving and other things for storage.